CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
It's the Batshit.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Crazy Pants.
It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
Super Show.
But we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
Helping you navigate this batshit crazy pants world.
So I got a president who likes me now.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands?
Are you totally deranged?
And now, your bus driver, Matt Stevens.
Woo! But that's how it goes. Hello. Sorry, I won't talk over Ozzy. Well, I will there. And there. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the Batshit Crazy Pants Super Show. I am, of course, your host, Matt Stevens. You can follow me on the Twitter at TheMattShow365. Also the same on Facebook. Super simple. Available on iTunes. Soon, hopefully. At some point, they like to take their time over at Apple. It takes a long time to go from the real office in California to the little office. You don't have to pay state tax in freaking Phoenix, Arizona. Takes time. Snail mail. That's how we do. We got a lot to get to today, but I thought we'd take a second and just play one more time, and then we're gonna look. You know me. I don't believe in. No, I love hanging on the rim. It's one of the things I love to do, but I don't believe in doing it too long because the next thing is coming up, right? And we're going to get to this today. There's a bunch of things that are happening, and it's more and more every day. We're seeing the privatizing of our country. So we're seeing it in our schools. We're seeing it all over the place. We're going to get to Lindsey Graham in a second. We're going to get to marijuana in a second. We have a great Batshit thing of the day. It's long. We have two long sound clips that we're going to play and stop because they're just there's too many great moments in them to break them down into 5-second clips. And you have to hear it all together to see the stream of awesomeness that happened. One last week, one over the weekend. But I got to play this one more time. Just one more time.
With the Republican House and Senate, we will immediately repeal and replace the disaster known as Obamacare. It's a disaster.
Or,
my first day in office, I'm going to ask Congress to put a bill on my desk getting rid of this disastrous law and replacing it with reforms that expand choice, freedom, affordability. You're going to have such great health care at a tiny fraction of the cost, and it's going to be so easy.
And we're done. I had to do it one more time because it's Monday and nobody likes Monday. So I figured, you know what? We'll have a little fun. I might, if there's time left at the end, I might talk about this story that's going around about the leggings and the girls on the plane because, look, I am a very liberal person. I'm not even going to say man because it doesn't matter. I'm a very liberal person. But, man, sometimes you just got to relax. Everybody just relax. Seriously, just relax, okay? Not everything is a fight. Not everything is a fight. It's just not, okay? Anyway, so we're going to start with Lindsey Graham because Lindsey Graham had a great weekend. Well, great for me, probably not so great for him. He went and did a town hall, and I can say that it's first, thank you, Lindsey Graham, for continuing to do town halls when others of your ilk have run like little bitches. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. You may not do one ever again after this one, but at least thank you for doing this. And it was basically about Gorsuch, right? He's talking about the Gorsuch, or at least this clip is. This is from MSNBC and via the Raw story, and which is great for video, right? They're reporting, unless I have a video to sort of back it up, I do believe it, but it sort of seems very almost Fox-ish. So sometimes I worry and I look for second sources always. Really, The Intercept, Vice. Some of those other sources, you don't necessarily have to, they have double sourced them, so you're good to go. Some of them I'm not so sure. Anyway, so Lindsey Graham is at this town hall, and he's talking about the Gorsuch confirmation hearings that happened last week and how he's going to vote for him because he's voted for all of them. But the tone in the room now, I want to say that there's probably God, maybe 150, maybe. From the camera views I've seen, it's hard to gauge. And what they do is, now, I don't know if they do this in all town halls because I've never been to a town hall, because I live in middle of Midtown Manhattan. My guy votes the way I want to vote, and he doesn't really have town halls because we're pretty much all on the same page. And if you're really, really super Republican, you just gave up a long time ago in this neighborhood. That's all. So what they did is they gave these people red and green like cards. And so when they really like something, like good, green, bad, red, right? Okay. So he's talking to the crowd about, we're going to get this down in a second. But what's amazing, and the thing that you have to listen for here is twofold. One, his typical Republican excuse making for the really just sort of backscrewing of Obama and the American people by not letting at least Merrick Garland get to a confirmation hearing. Not even that, because of some nonsense, and he'll explain his nonsensical reason, which doesn't explain why it explains why they did it. It doesn't make it right. But the other thing I want you to hear is listen to his tone. Now, we all know, okay? We all know that he sounds like Beverly Leslie from Will and Grace.
Your friend publicly insinuated that I was a homosexual.
Okay, so please know that this is actually Lindsey Graham and not Beverly Leslie playing Lindsey Graham on a Saturday Night Live skit. But listen to his tone, because tone's important. Tone conveys how you do. Am I an equal to you, or am I less than you? He says something great at the end. Now, I know what he meant, and I will get into it and what he meant. And I'm not saying he's wrong. His wording was poor because it makes it sound worse than it actually is. So we're going to get to it.
We just finished the hearing this week. Judge Gorsuch was one of the finest people I think President Trump could have chosen.
Now, I forgot to say this. This town hall is probably mostly filled with Democrats. That's why they're booing. And it's he knows that too, right? And so this is the other reason why you have to listen to tone, because I guarantee you, if this room was filled with Republicans, like real Republicans, like his super supporters, he would never take the tone and the glibness that he does. But it's Democrats, so pay attention, and that's why all the booing.
I am going to enthusiastically support him, and if the Democrats try to filibuster him, they will be making a huge mistake. Let me tell you a little bit about the judge.
The judge.
You don't want to listen? Let me tell you why I think he's well qualified. The American Bar Association gave him the highest qualified rating you could give somebody. He's been a judge for 10 and a half years. He's decided 2,700 cases. He's been reversed once.
Yeah, that happened during the hearing. But here's the thing. None of that matters, right? None of that matters, because there are tons of, I would imagine, thousands of judges in the country right now who have stats, right? Because that's what he's doing. He's reading you the back of a judge's baseball card, right? The rating by the Bar Association, he's been a judge for 10 years. He's presided over 2,000. It's almost like it's like a match game, or not match game, the dating game, you know? You're telling the people his stats. But that doesn't mean what type of person he is. That doesn't mean how that doesn't show how he'll vote. Now, because he abides by the law most of the time, it doesn't mean he's seen all of the cases that he's going to see. The guy basically said a guy should have been fired because he didn't kill himself. Just go listen to the Al Franken testimony. It's freaking brilliant. But that's the thing, right? You're reading the back of a baseball card. It doesn't matter. You're talking about a judge. I don't give a crap how many cases he sat on. I don't care. And I know that sounds ridiculous. He's about to be the Supreme Court. But I'd rather have moral superiority. I'd rather have somebody who has a good moral compass than somebody who uses his religion to get what he wants in this world. And that's what Merrick Garland does. But he doesn't mention that. He's talking about statistics, which any judge of Merrick Garland's status, not Merrick Garland, Gorsuch's status would have.
And I don't think President Trump could have chose a better conservative judge to replace Judge Scalia. And I intend to vote for it. So here's the one thing I can tell everybody in this room. I voted for every Supreme Court justice that came out of committee by Republicans and Democrats.
Now, to be fair, this is fair. If his thing is that once the president is elected, then I'm going to vote for that person. He voted for Sotomayor. He voted for all of them. All of them. These guys have been around for 100 years. So if that's your thing, if you're going based solely on who the president nominates and makes it through the confirmation hearing, if that's your thing, that's fine. I think that's kind of pussy, but that's fine.
And let me tell you about Garland. Hang on.
He's getting paper because he needs the exact quote.
Here's what Joe Biden said in 1992. In 1992.
Now pay attention because he's going to. This is the Republican argument, right? This is anytime Democrats come at them with, "You didn't nominate Merrick Garland. What do you a year?" Blah blah blah. This is what they will tell you, and so so I'm going to give you the argument in a second against it.
Joe Biden said, just listen to me for a second. In 1992, Bush 41 was going to have an opening, they thought, in the last year of his term, that a Republican appointee was going to retire from the court. And here's what Joe said. It would be our pragmatic conclusion that once the political season is underway, and it is, action on a Supreme Court nomination must be put off until after the election campaign is over. If someone steps down, I would highly recommend the president not name someone, not send up a name. If Bush did send someone up, I would ask the Senate to seriously consider not having a hearing for that now. So, in 1992, Joe Biden, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, said, once the campaign season's afoot, let's let the next president pick. I thought that made sense then. I believe it makes sense now.
Okay, first of all, there's no fucking way he thought it made sense then. There is no fucking way. There's no way. Okay? I wish YouTube existed then, because I would have sound right now of Lindsey Graham going, that's ridiculous. You can't make it so that people can't choose. He's the president. He should get to choose who is on the Supreme Court, not the next president when you're talking about something like that. See? Arguments work for both sides depending on the side you're on. And everybody uses the same argument when they're on the other side. When Democrats have control of the House and Senate, you don't filibuster anything. Don't block anything. You should just up and down votes. When Republicans have the House and Senate, it's the same thing so it's the same thing over and over again. Right now, the argument's in their favor. But here's the problem. And here's the thing you always have to think about. But first of all,
earmuffs,
as always, and also,
Hail Trump!
Right, because you can't forget that. We haven't mentioned him in a second.
Hail Trump!
Okay, so here's the answer to the Lindsey Graham question. When they say that, here's what you say. Yes, he said those words, right? But it never came to fruition, so we don't know if he actually meant it. Now, when I say meant it, I don't mean meant it like he meant what he said, but was it posturing? Was it nonsense? Would the Democrats, if given a candidate that they liked, still gone ahead and blocked it for over a year. We don't know the answer to any of those questions. It's conjecture on Graham's part because of political posturing that Joe Biden did almost 25 years ago. So their rationale for blocking President Obama from not putting somebody on the seat, which Merrick Garland, by the way, is somebody that everybody would vote for. I'm not sure if there's a person there. Maybe Bernie Sanders might have voted against him. But I'm not sure if there's anybody in the Senate who would have voted against Merrick Garland if he was put up, say, 2 years ago. Or even instead of February, last January. It's also not in the Constitution. The president, that's all it says, gets to choose. It doesn't say the president, assuming the primary season, which is so fucking early that people want to kill themselves anyway and too early for anything ever, is started. It doesn't say that. The president, at the time. That means, which I believe Reagan put somebody in very late. But please do not quote me on that. In fact, I take it back. I never said it. Because I don't know if it's true, and I don't like to do that. So here we have, but it's not over. It's not over. He keeps going. But the answer to but when somebody says that, you just say that back. You guys actually did it. How do you know that wasn't political posturing to get a more left-leaning candidate in there? How do you know that? We don't. You want to know why we don't? Because it never happened. It happened on your guys' watch, and you blocked it for a year.
Judge Garland is a fine man. He was well qualified, but the next president, in my view, should replace Scalia because he died in February after 3 primaries had started a week before the South Carolina primary.
South Carolina.
To everybody that boos Judge Gorsuch, you're not persuading me at all. As a matter of fact, if you can't understand this is a qualified nominee, then you're not listening. If you don't understand that elections matter, then you don't understand America. And if you think that only liberals can get their nominees and a conservative can't, then you don't understand America. And I don't believe that the Constitution was written so that you get everything you want and I get nothing.
Okay. So we got a lot to digest right there. First of all, again, listen to tone. Do you think if this room was filled with Republicans, he would be saying the same thing? No, he'd be saying, what do you want? What can I do? How can I help? Now, when he says, the people who don't want me to vote for Gorsuch, you're not changing me, because he did vote for Obama's nominees. He did vote for all of them that have come up, whether Republican or Democrat. That is his stance. It is unwavering. That is fine. As long as you do it both ways. And with Lindsey, you never know. So I'm fine with that. But saying that elections don't matter, they do matter. And he was elected. He was the president during the last year of this past year. The whole year, the entirety of 2016 and into 2017, President Barack Obama was president and should have been allowed to choose because we elected him to run our country for 4 fucking years. Not 3.5, not 3, but 4. And what that means is that as much as I would hate it, if somebody were to die, like, say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg in February of 2020 or 2019 or whatever, Trump would get to choose the person. Sorry, everybody, but that's the way it is. But that's not the way it is anymore. That's not the way it is anymore. And if the same thing happens, Democrats, you better do the same thing. Because this is now a rule, right? We have all these unwritten rules. This is now a rule. And I'll get to the other thing in a second. But to say that you just said election. If you don't know what that elections matter, then you're not American. You don't understand it, Lindsey. You don't understand what elections are. You, not me. I get it. I think Trump should be able to elect the person to be on the Supreme Court if somebody dies in July before the election, because he's still the fucking president of the United States. Until the moment of the new guy's hand goes on the Bible and the hand goes up and the things is all said and the speeches are all given, he is the president and gets to pick people according to what the Constitution says.
That's not the way the Constitution was written. So, to all the people who beat on me for voting for Sotomayor and Kagan, here's what I told you. I didn't vote for Obama, but he won. And he had the right to pick qualified people. I didn't vote for Trump, but he won. And he's the right to pick qualified people. And I'm asking no more of the...
Okay, so so he's just solidifying his point. I voted for this guy, blah, 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 okay? Now to wrap this up, because we're giving a lot of time to Lindsey Graham.
Friend publicly insinuated that I was a homosexual.
Said this.
And I don't believe that the Constitution was written so that you get everything you want and I get nothing. That's not the way the Constitution was written.
Now, if you're just hearing that and you think that he's saying himself as a senator, then that's a completely screwed up statement. But what he's saying is Democrat, Republican, okay? That's what he's saying. Now, he didn't say it, and what he said was bad. What if you literally take what he says at face value, it's horrible what he said. But what he really saying is Republicans and Democrats. The problem is, buddy, is that you have gotten what you've wanted. You have, I mean, you have Roberts and Alito on the freaking bench. You got those during George Bush. Those guys are going to be there for the next billion friggin' years. So don't come crying to me, okay? You're going to get what you want. But you screwed us doing it. And you actually broke the Constitution doing it as well. And that's really the biggest problem for me, is that you literally went against what the actual Constitution stands for. And it makes me kind of nuts. And that's why you should get voted out. But one final thing is this. The tone in that room is bad, okay? From both sides. From both sides, okay? Let the man speak, and then you get to speak, okay? And you can voice your displeasure and whatnot. But his tone, you can tell there's not a single Republican in that room. I mean, there might be a couple, but they know that he's not talking to them. He's talking to the Democrats in that room. And I can guarantee you that if that was a room full of Republicans, oh God, the tone would have been so different. It would have been so different. Next up, we got a little update because on Friday, President Trump, which is still like, it's like sucking down a mouthful of cinnamon, you know what I mean? On Friday, signed, I guess it's formally, he signed an executive order doing it a couple weeks ago. This was a formal approval of the Keystone XL pipeline, which is owned by TransCanada. Now, if you think this is a done deal, it's not. There are still roadblocks. Now, the roadblocks don't seem huge, but there are a couple roadblocks. The first thing you should know, though, is that the company that is doing this has made a lot of promises, and so is Trump. And those are the biggest sort of things right now, okay? Trump said that he would approve the pipeline if America got 25% of the profits and if USA Union Steel was used to make the pipes. Both of those things aren't true. No. Both of those things aren't happening. It's not that they're not true. It's that he said he was going to do it because of this, and they didn't happen, right? So what you have now is some back alley ways to get this stopped, okay? One is keep buying hybrid cars and keep buying solar panels and wind turbines and keep going with renewable energies over all other types of energies, because the tar sands that the Keystone Pipeline is going to be moving is very difficult to drill and is very expensive, which is one of the reasons they want to build the pipeline, because it's cheaper to run it down to the Gulf that way than it is to do it any other way, and it offsets the cost of drilling it. So if you make the price of oil very, very low, the pipeline isn't going to matter. It's going to be too expensive to dig up. So that's the ultimate thing we all can do to help. Okay? The next thing we can do is there's going to be a lot of people filing lawsuits because they feel like Trump has I don't know if it's break the law, right? Because I guess it might be. He broke a law. So it's hard. It's parsed because it's federal, so it's nonsense, right? But the problem is that Trump didn't go through the proper procedures for enacting something that was killed. So Obama killed the pipeline, and then Trump just said, no, we're not killing the pipeline, and they just used all the same information instead of doing like environmental impact studies and stuff like that. So instead of doing new ones, which is what they're supposed to do, they didn't do those things. And so you can hold this up in court in millions of ways by doing that sort of stuff. Right? Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's going to do it. The best bet we have is Nebraska, which kind of like is like saying, you know, we're going to win this game because, you know, the 5-foot-tall white, I don't even know. But it's not good if Nebraska is your saving grace, because Nebraska has yet to approve plans to send the pipeline through. TransCanada has offered many different ways it can go through Nebraska. They have not agreed on any of them. Now, their governor has no control over this, okay, because it's considered it delegates authority. According to the Nebraska state, now this is all because of the Atlantic. The Nebraska state constitution delegates authority over pipelines to the Public Service Commission, a power that the Nebraska Supreme Court basically holds. They've never necessarily been appointed that, but apparently it's what they do. Okay, so this is not on Ricketts. This is more on their state Supreme Court, which I don't know the men on the state Supreme Court of Nebraska. I'm going to assume they're very conservative and are pro-pipeline as long as it doesn't run through their backyard. So again, a hiccup, but nothing too great, right? So, I mean, it's not a great situation. This is something that probably is going to be finished and will probably, now it might be years down the road. It's been many, many years. And the thing that scares you is that a lot of this was built years ago and has been sitting empty for years in harsh conditions with no oil running through it. So are they going to fix that? Are they going to start new and build the entire thing over again? Are they even going to go look at the old pieces before they turn on the valve? Nobody knows. But it looks like that at some point the Keystone Pipeline will in fact be built, unless, of course, we can litigate, and then get him out of office. That seems like the best possible way to do it, is try and hold up in Nebraska as long as we can, try and litigate down from the environmental side, and then in 4 years take back the White House, the House, and the Senate, and kill the pipeline finally forever and ever and ever. Amen. On to our federal government's continual ludicrous behavior towards marijuana, and of course the fact that anyway somebody can make a buck that isn't, a stoner in his backyard. They are willing to hop on board in 5 seconds as long as it's not made from something grown on the earth, but something created in a laboratory. Before we get started, we'll talk about the company itself. Insys Therapeutics, which is known for making fentanyl, which is a painkiller. In December, 6 of the ex-CEO, this is via Vice News, by the way. Let's see who wrote that. Keegan Hamilton was the author of this, and I thank him for this because always anytime we can see a little marijuana news, we always look. So Insist, the ex-CEO, and 6 other former top executives were arrested and accused of bribing doctors, defrauding insurance companies, and fueling America's opioid crisis. That was from Massachusetts federal prosecutors. They paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bribes and kickbacks to doctors who operated pain clinics in exchange for the physicians prescribing the company's fentanyl spray to non-cancer patients. They obviously pleaded not guilty because they're rich and they have super awesome lawyers, and they're going to go get it. Now, to make their way back from that, the DEA has helped. The DEA, our good friends at the DEA, they announced on March 23rd that their product, which is it's called Subsys, which is apparently a liquid that contains. Sorry, the product is called Syndros. I apologize. Syndros, Syndros, which is a liquid that contains a synthetic version of Delta 9 THC. The FDA. It's received approval from the FDA, and the DEA announced on March 23rd that the product will be classified as a Schedule II controlled substance. Considering that marijuana, the stuff that grows literally out of the ground, okay? Literally, like just natural in the world, okay? Yes, we do help sometimes, but there was a marijuana plant first, and that's made more and more and more. That is a Schedule I. Stuff made in a lab, Schedule II, stuff grown on the earth, literally without our help, Schedule I. Schedule I is like heroin, cocaine, stuff like that. If you've ever smoked pot and then you wanted to do heroin or cocaine afterwards, you were always going to do heroin or cocaine after anything you did. Every single pothead that I know, every single one, and I know a lot of them, every single one has never, ever, ever been like, man, it sounds like a great idea. Let's go, stick needles in our arms and, get hooked on heroin. No, because potheads watch TV. We see what heroin addicts turn into. Why would we want to do that? It makes no sense. But now the DEA and the government is in on the scam, right? Because you always knew it was going to go this way. You always fucking knew that when they started legalizing pot in states and they saw it making money and money and money, and these big pharma corporations just looked at it, the drool coming out of their mouths, and the tobacco companies, the drool coming out of their mouths. But how do they stop it? How do they stop regular people from making money when it should only be them making money? Synthetic. And then we'll basically back alley some fucking deal where we'll get the DEA and the Food and Drug Administration to sign off on it as a Schedule II instead of a Schedule I, so it can be given to patients through doctors. The DEA and the Food and Drug Administration did this for a company that was convicted of trying to spread the drug problem, the prescription drug opioid crisis. That's what our government got in bed with. That's the company our government said, yeah, that's fine. Stuff grown naturally that has no adverse, okay, all things have adverse effects. If you ingest something into your lungs that has an adverse effect, okay, I get it. I'm not an idiot. But no one's ever died from it. And here's the best part. So in their announcement, right, the DA's announcement, they said that the drug has, quote, high potential for abuse and puts users at a, quote, an increased risk of experiencing serious adverse events, which, quote, may potentially result in an overdose. So the THC that can potentially get you to overdose, which is synthetic and made with chemicals, Schedule II. The THC that no one, literally, there's never been a case where anybody can prove that anybody died due to an overdose of marijuana ever. That's a Schedule I. And that, my friends, is a fucking piece of nonsense, travesty, idiotic bullshit thing that our government does. And these companies, and that's how they do it. And that's how they do it. And now weed is gone. Now it's not gone. I'm overreacting. But the first weed that will be legal federally, will be this shit. It'll be some form of synthetic shit marijuana that will make people have bleeding assholes and eyes that can't close and may cause death. When all the other one does is cause you to eat more food. Okay. On to some really kind of awesome news, all right? This is via Mother Jones, all right? This is, let's see who this is. Brandon Patterson, okay? And he's talking now, this is last Thursday. The prosecutors announced in Chicago, the prosecutors in the officer Jason Van Dyke case. If you don't know what that is, that's the one in Chicago. I was thinking it was 2014, where the guy was like walking down the highway with a knife, and he was walking away from he wasn't walking away, but he wasn't walking towards the cops, and the cops just opened fired, and then he hit the ground, and then a couple seconds later he sort of twitched, and they shot him like 6 more times. That's the one, okay? Jason Van Dyke, the video is available on the internet. Look it up. It is awful. Just totally awful. If you have eye muffs, I would use them. Okay, so he was indicted by a grand jury earlier this month on 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. He had previously been indicted on charge of first-degree murder and misconduct in office. But that's not the interesting part, because that's how everybody gets charged, right? So if you kill somebody who's you deem a criminal or whatever, it's always considered first-degree murder. Okay? The interesting part is the 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm, because they are charging him with a count for every bullet he shot. And why is that good? Well, first of all, I mean, they talked to some specialists here, and nobody's ever seen this before. Now, you can't consider battery charges. They're considered in addition. This isn't in place of murder. This is in addition to. So when the defense says we're going to plead self-defense because the guy was carrying a knife and I'm a cop, I have, I'm not supposed to kill, but I can kill. It's sort of like, if I feel like my life's in danger, I can kill. It's self-defense. But with this charge, what they've done is that, yes, they can plead self-defense to any bullets fired while he was standing up. But all the bullets that he fired while he was lying on the ground, which is a lot. I want to say it's like 6. If you can get the count, let me know. I can't tell if there's echoes, and I've listened to it a bunch of times. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm trying to do this. So this prosecutor and the kid's name is the 17-year-old is Laquan McDonald, by the way. That's the video you need to look up. Sorry. I'm not confusing the two. I was reading the wrong name. It's Laquan McDonald. He's the guy that got shot. He's the guy who got shot. Jason Van Dyke was the officer who shot him. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So this is brilliant. I mean, this is brilliant, because what this does now is it takes sort of the excessive force argument and it adds to it. So, yes, you can say that you did self-defense up to a certain point, but after a certain point, it's just nuts to say that it's self-defense, because you shot the guy 6 times while he was laying on the ground and twitched once. And that's the best part. That's how you win. You come up with new and interesting ways to sort of beat the system at its own game. They're trying to game you, but you're gaming them. So any bullets that were fired after he's on the ground, he can be convicted on those individually. His hearing is scheduled for April 20th. They don't think that the judge will dismiss this. They don't think the judge will make it so it all has to be considered one account, because if you watch the videotape, they should be considered as separate incidents. I don't know if he is allowed to change it and lump the bullets as one count before he's on the ground and one count after. I don't know enough about the law to tell you that. But the idea, right? The idea of that is fantastic. Like, this guy should be given a friggin', I don't know, he should be given something. Something awesome. Like, if he wants to drive around in the Batmobile for the day, he should. Because this right here, if this guy gets convicted of, say, 6 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm, that's going to send a message to A, every prosecutor in the country, and B, every cop in the country. That we have now figured out a way to prosecute excessive force. Because, again, as a cop, you do get to plead self-defense. You do. Your job is hard. You carry a gun for a reason. You are allowed to plead self-defense. Now, to me, the initial shooting was completely unnecessary, and they should be convicted of that. I mean, the guy was clearly walking away from him as he's being shot. Now, he's carrying a knife. You can say whatever you want here. Look, we can have an argument about that. I'm willing to do that always. Okay? Always willing to do that. But when you watch the video, when you watch it, it's brutal. Laquan McDonald. It's brutal because he's laying on the ground and he gets shot like 6 more times. And so separating those out makes this a whole different case. And it might be the hack that helps prosecutors get these guys in prison where they belong. Say what you want. You can say what you want, but that guy belongs in prison. He killed that man for no reason. It doesn't matter if he's a cop. You don't have a license to kill. You are not in an action movie. The killing has consequence. It's not like James Bond who can walk in and shoot somebody and nothing. Real life situations have real life consequences. And you shot a man about 6 times when he was laying on the ground. But don't worry. The Chicago prosecutors are on it. I mean, that's brilliant, right? It's absolutely brilliant. Charging him for each bullet fired. I can't wait. We're definitely going to keep an eye on this. The trial starts April 20th. I'm actually even considering to see if it's going to be like televised or something. I doubt it will. But we'll definitely keep an eye on this because first, I'll be interested to see the judge's ruling on this, okay? Like, he was indicted by a grand jury, but they can make motions to make it all 1 count instead of 16. And I'll be interested to see the judge's ruling on that because again, if you watch the tape, this is on the burden is not on the prosecution. The burden's on the defense to prove why it shouldn't be 16 different counts. And I don't know if you'll be able to prove that. All you have to do is watch the tape. It's not going to get dismissed. It's just not. So we're going to keep an eye on this, or an ear on it, as it were, and going forward because this could be huge for the Black Lives Matter movement, for all of the people who are trying to stem the tide of these sort of rogue cops who take the law into their own hands and kill innocents because they're black men walking down the street with a hood up, or okay, this guy had a knife in his hand. I get it, but still, when you just watch the video, decide for yourself: should this guy have been shot? Should he have been shot? Yes, he was carrying a knife, which is dangerous. You shouldn't carry knives, but still, he should have been shot. And that's the point. If these guys they've been getting off scot-free for so long that this might be the thing that scares the living shit out of them to take a second to decide whether or not they want to shoot somebody who is walking away from them. We're going to end the show on the Batshit Crazy Pants thing of the day because it is truly spec-freaking-tacular, kids. When I say it's awesome, it is so amazing how Rick Wiles continues to outdo himself. It is spectacular. But we get to Tucson, Arizona first because this is... I don't necessarily believe in karma. Karma to me is something that I like to bring up when it sort of suits my argument. But all in all, I don't believe in karma because if karma really existed, then people like Donald Trump wouldn't have the success that they have. To me, karma doesn't really exist. And if you try and tell me, well, what about karma in the afterlife? I don't care. What good does that do me? What good does it do me that Donald Trump rots in hell when he's dead? It doesn't do me any good while I'm alive, and that's what I need. So I need karma to happen while I'm alive. So get on it, karma. And it did for this guy. This is from Weird News on the Huffington Post, which is a fun page to go to, okay? So a man prowling on a fenced campus in an elementary school in Tucson, Arizona, was wearing baggy pants and apparently got his baggy pants caught on the gate. Now, it's one of those fancy, like, wrought iron gates with, like, the sort of arrows on the top, you know? And he was trying to climb over the gate after he got spooked and got his pants caught on the gate. And you have to see the picture. He's literally ended up upside down, hanging from the gate by his baggy pants, which are still around his ankles, with his underwear out and his shirt hanging up, and he's just fucking hanging there. It's amazing. And the best part about this, the reason that it's so amazing. Now, the reason he was there is not amazing. This is, I believe, an elementary school, which, please let it just be like a guy looking to, like, steal something, okay? Like, that's the only thing I hope out of this from a serious perspective is that he was there to, like, steal computers. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that's good, okay? Trust me. I'm trying to find the better in the shit here. And so if he's there to spy on little kids and watch little kids, that makes this story not awesome. I mean, it makes it awesome how he got caught, but that's awful. So I'm hoping that he was just trying to steal computers, because even though that's bad, the karma for that is great. But you got to go see the picture. Huffington Post Weird News. Check it out. It's a great picture. Jesse Sensabar posted it, I guess. The article is by Ron Dicker, and you just got to look at it, because literally right next to him on the fence is like the school logo. It is so awesome, and it's also karmatic for all you idiots who are your pants so baggy that your ass is out. Why wear pants? Seriously, answer me this. I would love for somebody to answer me this question. For the guys who wear the pants down below your ass, okay, where it makes you walk like a duck because you have to keep your pants up, why wear pants? So, like, your butt doesn't get cold, or your butt was really hot when the pants were over it with the underwear on? Well, how about this? How about we make an exception? How about you wear pants up and no underwear? See, can I get that? So all you baggy pants wearing idiots out there, whether you be Hispanic, black, white, Asian, I don't care. Y'all do it. You're all idiots. No matter what, remember this. And this is your lesson for today. Don't climb wrought iron fences, because you will end up like this jackass. Like this jackass. And it's hysterical. It's absolutely hysterical.
It's time for the Batshit. Hail Trump.
It means that what the Jews have, we have.
The word. Crazy pants.
Perpetual war, corruption, and pedophilia party.
Help, help, I'm being repressed.
For some reason, homosexuality has become the issue for the left. It's satanic.
Brain games is now over.
Thing of the day. That's right, cat and skin kittens. It is time for the Batshit Crazy Pants Thing of the Day. And, of course, the guy who probably wins this award will probably win this award more than literally anybody, because what he says is just stream of consciousness, awesome nonsense. And today is no exception. Now, I believe this was from last week, where conservative legal activist Larry Klayman and the rest of the group, Rick Wiles, the whole thing. I'm just going to let you listen, because sometimes it just needs to speak for itself.
One statement that Mr. Montgomery made is, or at least through Mr. Klayman, is that the CIA and Barack Obama manipulated the votes in Florida in the 2008 election to swing Florida into the Obama camp on Election Day.
No, not the 2012 election.
No, 2008, which means that Obama hacked the election.
Okay, first of all, okay, because here's the thing, guys. Listen, always with conspiracy theories that are this batshit. Oh, it gets better. There's way more to come, but I had to say this because you're going to hear this word hacked a lot in this statement, okay? And it's because the guy does not know what the word hacked means, okay? He's using hacking to represent election fraud on a massive scale. He's talking about listening in on people. He's talking about surveillance, but he keeps using the word hacking. He hacked the 2008 election. He doesn't know what it means, but he keeps saying it, and it's fantastic. He just keeps saying it. But like when you think about it from this perspective. We had a President Obama who was president for 8 years, and during those 8 years, literally every Republican, all their job the entire time was to find things that they did wrong for scandals. There was literally not one scandal at 8 years. You don't think if there was actual fucking proof that Obama and the CIA, of which he was not commander of, by the way, hacked, quote, the 2008 election in Florida to get votes to go Democrat instead of Republican. You don't think they would have done something about that? You think like Lindsey Graham and all the other Republicans are sitting there going, well, maybe we should just put this in a drawer and wait till the right time to get him. No, they would have led with that story day one.
2008.
In 2008. And that's why he won re-election in 2012 when everybody was shocked. We're like, this guy is so unpopular.
He won by 6 million votes.
People despise his administration.
He won by 6 million votes.
How did he win?
He won by 6 million votes. That's how he won. And Mitt Romney was literally a wet blanket in a suit.
I still remember election night 2012, that creepy, eerie feeling that came over me, like something really dark and sinister just happened today.
Yeah, you felt that way because a black guy was president. Again, for another 4 years, you had to watch a black guy be president. See, what that feeling is, buddy, is racism. It's racism, Rick. Absolute, abject racism. That's what that feeling is. I mean, it's not that he hacked the election. It's that you're a racist. And the feeling, that dark feeling you felt, was that a black guy was going to make the laws that you had to follow.
I know what it was. We had intel agencies
racism
hacked the election.
Racism.
This is why they're so adamant about accusing Vladimir Putin of hacking the election, because they know that they've been doing it for a long time.
And they were doing it this election, too.
And it didn't work. They didn't hack it enough.
Yeah. The American people stood up and voted.
There were so many people that voted for Donald Trump that all of their corruption cannot overcome.
He lost by 3 million votes.
The will of the people.
He lost by 3 million votes.
And they're shocked by it.
He lost by 3 million votes. All the people that voted for Trump, he lost by 3 million votes. He won, but he lost the popular vote by 3 million votes. So that is not true.
In a state of shock, because they were certain they had manipulated enough states that the vote would be in favor of Hillary Clinton.
And so their attempts now to delegitimize President Trump, to scour him, to do whatever they can in order to say he is not the president. He's the president only because, some mistake or some influence by a foreign power.
That's right. According to
that he colluded with, by the way. That's the problem. It's not that Russia hacked hacked emails and whatnot. It's that they think that he colluded with them to do it. It's bad enough that Russia hacked into emails and whatnot, but the fact that he may have helped them or colluded with them to do it is the real problem here.
Larry Klayman, under grants of immunity, which he obtained through Assistant U.S. Attorney Deborah Curtis, Mr. Montgomery produced hard drives and was interviewed under oath by a federal prosecutor in a secure room at the FBI field office in Washington, D.C. Oh, this is starting to get really dark and sinister.
And this was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so for 2 years, Donald Trump and the Republican Party had knowledge that President candidate Barack Obama and the CIA fixed voting in Florida so he could win the 2008 and 2012 election and did nothing about it. They just, it's not a big deal.
They're claiming this was videotaped too. So there is a videotape of this interview that was done under oath. That is what Larry Klayman is claiming here.
And Mr. Klayman said at that interview 2 years ago in the FBI office in Washington, Mr. Montgomery laid out the evidence of how Americans such as Donald Trump were being spied upon by Clapper and John Brennan at the CIA and various spy agencies under control by the Obama administration. This is why Obama is hiding in French Polynesia.
Okay, this is where it turns, okay? This is where it turns. But again, you're talking about the FBI. You're talking about James Comey, the guy who a week before the election was like, oh, yeah, we're going to reopen the investigation into Hillary Clinton. You know, what? He had information for 2 years that candidate Barack Obama and the CIA colluded to fix votes in Florida and did nothing about it. But he talked about Hillary Clinton's emails a week before the election. Come on, guys. He's lying. The reason that this has never come out is because he's lying. And they probably figured that out in the freaking office, in the FBI office.
He is a fugitive.
Yes.
He is hiding from arrest. I believe he knows he's going to be arrested.
We didn't bring this up yesterday, but there's also a $300 million yacht that's within access for Barack Obama on that island he's at. It's owned by David Geffen. He is a DreamWorks founder and was a major donor in both the 2008 and 2012 campaigns for President Obama.
So just to keep up, the president is hiding out in French Polynesia with David Geffen's $300 million yacht that he can escape on at any time because he's under fear of being arrested for something we've literally never heard about until this interview.
So there's a yacht standing by?
Yes, a $300 million luxury yacht. This is one of those you can live out in the open ocean on.
And he has access to a G6 jet, too.
In case he's got to get off the island, too.
Right.
I wonder what the extradition agreement is with the French Polynesia.
I actually looked into that this morning, Rick, and since they're still considered under French jurisdiction, there is extradition that exists between the U.S. and France, of course, and so if there was some sort of prosecution, they could extradite, someone from French Polynesia. But
here's the thing: this guy Googled this, but he didn't Google Obama CIA. Here, I'm going to do it right now. Obama CIA fixing 2008 election. The first thing that comes up is WikiLeaks exposes CIA interference in French presidential election. And then we go to crazy batshit sites. So nothing comes up. Nothing at all. So you Googled that to see what the freaking extradition from French Polynesia was, but you didn't Google that.
But keep in mind that he's only about an hour flight from Togo and
Togo.
Vanuatu.
Yeah.
There is no extradition between those islands and the U.S. And if you've got a G6 jet, you can go anywhere in the world.
And what about a yacht in international waters?
Well, you're pretty much free at that point.
That's a good point.
That's what I was thinking when you said the yacht was standing by. You simply go out into international waters and wait.
Right.
We're sitting on top of the biggest scandal in the history of this nation.
History.
Yeah.
It would be the biggest scandal in the history of the world.
Ever.
That the most powerful nation in the world, the intelligence agencies of the biggest, richest, most powerful nation spied on millions of American citizens, including federal judges and prominent businessmen and women, and the president-elect and his advisors, and that the elections were hacked. By not the Russians, but by the Democrats.
Right.
Spectacular. You really can't. I mean, again, It's a phrase that needs to go away because you can make it up. He just did. He just literally made it up. Now this other guy made it up first, and then he took it and ran with it. The idea that our president is going to live out the remaining years of his ex-presidency in international waters. I mean, God, think about that. This guy is saying that President Barack Obama is going to spend the rest of his years living his life out on international waters on David Geffen, I guess, the $300 million yacht. That's spectacular. Spectacular.
That was hilarious.
Thank you so much for listening to the Batshit Crazy Band Super Show. You can always follow me on the Twitter at TheMattShow365. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at 7.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.